This handmade gift looks so cheap, my granddaughter sneered, holding it between two fingers like it was something foul. Everyone laughed, my son, his wife, even her fiancé. They laughed like I wasn't standing right there, like I was just some old woman who wandered in with bad taste and too much time on her hands. The next morning, I sold the beach house, the same house where she'd already sent wedding invitations, the same house where I scattered my husband's ashes. No warning, no apology, just silence and the sound of one door finally closing. But before I share my story with you, I'd love to know you're here with me. Drop a simple hi in the comments so I know you're listening, or let me know where you're watching from. I love to see how far my story can reach. Thank you. And now, let me tell you everything. If you've ever been laughed at, overlooked, or treated like your love meant nothing just because it wasn't expensive or shiny, this story is for you. Please consider subscribing. I'm not here to teach anyone a lesson. I'm here because telling this out loud might be the only way I'll stop carrying it alone. My name is Verity Langley. I'm 68 years old, and for the first time in my life, I chose myself. This handmade gift looks so cheap. Cassidy said it like she was describing a used tissue holding my box between two fingers, as if she feared it might stain her designer dress. There was a pause. Then laughter, not nervous or uncertain, but sharp and gleeful, the kind that knows its cruelty and chooses it anyway. My son Sterling let out 2 barks of a laugh without looking up from his phone. Madeline, his wife, covered her mouth like a teenager trying to be polite. Even Cassidy's fiancé chuckled softly, sipping a champagne with one raised eyebrow. I stood there holding nothing but my own arms. My gift, the one I'd worked on for weeks with trembling fingers and aging eyes, sat on Cassidy's perfectly polished lap, dangling in the air. 2 hand-knit dolls dressed in tiny wedding attire crafted from ivory wool and lace. I'd salvaged from my own wedding dress. I'd spent hours stitching the miniature pearls onto her veil. Inside the bride doll, tucked deep in her chest, was a diamond. Not just any diamond, but my grandmother's. James, my late husband, had reset it for me on our 50th anniversary. That same stone Cassidy had hinted about for years. I hadn't told anyone. I wanted it to be a quiet inheritance, a symbol, not a transaction. But when Cassidy peeled back the wrapping paper vintage floral print I'd picked up from the same boutique she worked at in college back when she used to brag about getting discounts, her face twisted. "Grandma," she said, laughing with mock sweetness, "you do know we have a Neiman Marcus registry, right?" The room erupted. I felt the ground slip, but I didn't let it show. Sterling said something about Mom being adorable, as if I were a kind of decorative relic, like a chipped teacup someone couldn't bring themselves to throw away. No one asked what the dolls meant. No one asked how long I'd worked on them. Beau, my youngest grandson, stood in the corner holding his camera, capturing candid shots for Cassidy's Instagram reel. His lens dropped slightly when our eyes met. He didn't laugh, he didn't smile, he just looked sorry. And then he turned away. I left before cake. No one stopped me. No one noticed. Not even Cassidy, who was too busy posing with her new Mont Blanc fountain pen gifted from her soon-to-be in-laws. Back home in Cambria, the silence was thick. My house overlooked the cliffs, the same view James and I used to watch with our coffee in the mornings. I sat in the kitchen, holding the thank you card Cassidy had mailed earlier that week, the one where she called me my rock. I looked at the dolls, still in the gift bag, still holding that diamond inside her heart. Still untouched, still unseen. The next morning, I drove home from the post office. I'd mailed a book back to Beau, something he lent me last Christmas, and I noticed a white van parked in my driveway. At first, I assumed it was a delivery or some beach repair crew, but as I pulled closer, I spotted a logo Everhouse Interiors. 2 young designers stood on my front porch, wearing all black outfits and big sunglasses, like they were about to renovate a Kardashian home. One held a tablet, the other was taking photos of my front windows. I stepped out of my car. "Excuse me, can I help you?" The one with the tablet smiled too rehearsed. "You must be Mrs. Langley. We're here for the layout measurements, for the wedding. It's going to be stunning. Modern minimalism meets coastal elegance. I didn't respond. I walked past them, opened the front door, and there was Sterling standing in my living room like he owned it. "Mom," he said, flashing that smile he used when he was trying to soften bad news. "We figured we'd get ahead on the renovations, just a few tweaks before the big day." I didn't move. What renovations? Madeline emerged from the hallway holding a thick roll of design prints. "Nothing big," she said, spreading the pages onto my dining table like it was hers. "Just opening up the space, brightening the palette, white on white. Very fresh. The Instagram buzz is going to be amazing." I stared at the prints. My dark oak paneling gone. The fireplace James and I had built stone by stone during our 5th anniversary replaced by a faux marble electric insert. My antique glass cabinets ripped out for open shelving. "I didn't agree to this," I said quietly. Madeline didn't look up. "You did. Christmas dinner. You said, 'Treat this house like your own.'" "I meant as family," I said, "not like this." Sterling put a hand on my shoulder. "It's just temporary, Mom, for the wedding. Then we'll bring it back if you want." I walked to the fireplace. The mantel was empty. No photo of me and James. No candles, no anniversary clock. Where are my things? "Oh," Madeline said we boxed them for safekeeping. Didn't want anything to get scratched during construction. My stomach twisted. I walked upstairs, opened the linen drawer, the embroidered handkerchief James had always kept near his shaving kit gone. Back downstairs, the designers were snapping more pictures. "The light in here is so clean," one of them said. "This place is going to look amazing in the drone shots." I stood at the bottom of the stairs, watching strangers plan my home like it was a set piece. It hit me then. I was no longer the owner of this space. I was its obstacle. They didn't see me. They saw what I was sitting on. And somehow I had become temporary in my own house. By the time the design crew finally left the house, smelled like dust and synthetic vanilla, the kind they plug into air vents at home staging events. I cleaned up what I could, mostly to keep my hands busy. That's when I noticed a paper on the kitchen island half tucked beneath a coffee mug. It was a scan of a bank letter. At first I thought it had been mailed to the wrong address. Then I saw the property ID, my address, my name. I read the letter once, then again, and a third time slower. It was a confirmation of a secured line of credit backed by the Cambria property dated just 3 weeks earlier. The signature at the bottom, my signature, looked almost right. Almost. I called Sterling. No small talk, no pleasantries, just, "What the hell is this?" He didn't miss a beat. "Mom, relax. It's just a bridge loan, short term. I meant to loop you in after the wedding. It'll all be transferred to the family trust, clean and official. You won't have to worry about anything. I kept my voice level. You forged my signature." He sighed. "It's not that serious. It's family. Come on." I hung up and called Vin Sorrell, James's old friend, now retired from court, but still sharp. I scanned the document and sent it over. His reply came in less than 10 minutes. "That is not your legal signature. That's a Class C felony. Come see me." Before I even had time to process it, my inbox pinged. Cassidy had sent me an email. No greeting, no context, just a single PDF attachment. It opened to a spreadsheet florist invoice seating vendor-imported champagne custom napkins embroidered with the Langley wedding in blush script. Total $78, forward $40. All invoices billed to Verity Langley. Then the final blow came through text from Sterling. "Next week, I'm taking you to tour some retirement homes in Santa Clara. Good friends, clean air, lots of community activities. Already made appointments. You'll love it." I stared at the message. I felt it. Cold rising. The way seawater seeps through shoes and climbs up your spine. That night, I opened the window. The ocean wind was sharp. Below the bluff, the cove curved like a cradle, just as it had the day we scattered James's ashes. I whispered to him, "They're moving me out like furniture." And then I asked myself a question that wouldn't leave. If I vanished from this house tomorrow, who would cry for me? 2 days later, Madeline called. Her voice was honeyed, full of gentle concern. Mama Cassidy's really worried. You haven't been yourself. We scheduled a full physical for you, just routine, of course. Dr. Keller is lovely. She'll see you tomorrow at 10. I arrived at the clinic alone. A nurse took my vitals, chatting about wedding weather. Dr. Keller was younger than I expected, clipboard in hand. Her tone clipped and efficient. The exam was brief. Eye movements, reflexes, a few memory questions that felt more like traps than tests. As I gathered my purse to leave, I saw the screen. She hadn't closed the file. Cognitive observation, mild confusion, possible short-term memory impairment. Recommend monitoring. I left without saying a word. Sterling was waiting outside. He smiled like this was all normal. "Let's take a drive," he said. "I want to show you something." We drove up the coast to Haven of Sea Pines. From the outside, it looked like a spa resort, big windows, walking trails, a koi pond. "This is just so you can see your options," he said. "No pressure." But the woman at the front desk greeted me like I was expected. She handed me a welcome packet with my name printed in gold. I didn't read it. I folded it neatly, placed it back on the counter, and walked out. Later that evening, I got a call from Beau. He asked to meet just us. We chose a quiet cafe in Santa Barbara. He looked exhausted, like someone older than 23 should look. He didn't waste time. "I need to show you something." He slid a USB drive across the table. It's Dad's. He's been scrambling to plug a hole in one of his real estate deals. He's leveraged everything, including Cambria. If the wedding doesn't generate new investor interest, he's cooked. 2 months max. My throat tightened. Beau hesitated, then said softly, "He's counting on you not knowing, or not doing anything." I drove home in silence. No music, no news, just the rhythm of tires over pavement. That night, I opened my laptop, logged into my bank account, 3 unusual logins, all within the past month, from a device labeled Sterling iMac. I closed the laptop, walked to the study, pulled open the bottom drawer of James's old desk. Inside, still wrapped in the leather pouch he used to carry, was a savings book from a bank no one remembered. I didn't hesitate. I drove to that bank the next morning. "I'd like to withdraw in full," I said, "and I'd like a cashier's check issued under a new name." That afternoon, I sat in Vin's office. The light through his stained glass window painted reds and blues across his face. "I need a way out," I said. "One they won't see coming." Vin nodded slowly. "Then we'll draw you a map." That night, I poured tea, sat in my living room, and stared at a photograph of me and James. Wedding day, black and white, wind in my veil, joy in his eyes. Then I picked up my phone and texted Harper Quinn, the real estate agent who'd once joked I could sell the house in a week if I ever wanted out. "You once said you move fast," I typed. "How fast is now?" She replied within minutes. 3 weeks. Maybe 2 if you trust me. I stared at that message for a long time, then typed 4 words back. "Start the clock." Quietly. The morning Harper brought the buyers, the fog hadn't lifted from the Cambria cliffs. Everything looked washed in gray, like the whole world was holding its breath. They're discreet, Harper had promised. No flashy inspections, no questions, just a clean deal if we keep it quiet. They arrived in a black Tesla, the kind that glides without sound. Dr. Ramesh and his wife, Sunita, investors from San Jose, newly retired from the tech world looking for a coastal retreat with character. They walked through the house in reverent silence. Sunita paused at the fireplace, ran a hand along the stone James had laid. "There's a soul here," she whispered. They made an offer on the spot. No negotiations. Full asking price, 40-day close contingent on absolute confidentiality. I signed the papers with hands that didn't shake. I would have 40 days. Enough. That afternoon, an email from Cassidy landed in my inbox. "Hi, Grandma," it read. "Just a gentle reminder, florist deposit $18K, silk aisle runner $12K, and champagne invoice $10.5K are now due. I've listed your home as the venue Grandma's Ocean View Legacy. Can't wait to make it unforgettable. I didn't reply. I didn't cry either. Just sipped my tea and reread it until the words blurred. 3 days later, Sterling came by in person. Said he was just dropping off contracts. It's temporary, he assured me, sliding a stack of papers forward. Puts the financial logistics in my name until the wedding expenses settle. Power of attorney? I asked dryly. Just for the next couple of months, he smiled too wide. You won't even notice. He excused himself to the restroom. As soon as the door clicked shut, I reached for his bag. A file peeked out. I opened it, loan documents, the same forged signature. He had doubled the mortgage on my home without a single legal right. I placed everything back as it was, sat down and poured us both some tea. That evening, while folding laundry, I saw Cassidy's live stream pop up. She stood in a sleek bridal studio, twirling in a beaded white dress, her voice syrupy. And here's the best part, she said, holding the camera close. The house will be completely white by then. Picture it floor-to-ceiling coastal whites. Every guest gets a custom handkerchief embroidered with Cambria Wedding by Cassidy. I watched it in full heart steady. The next morning, I met with Vin. Transfer all remaining assets except the savings account James left into a conditional trust. Locked. Irrevocable. He looked at me for a long moment. You sure? I nodded. Then let's make it bulletproof. That same afternoon, I signed the final sale documents. Harper circled the move-out date, June 8th, precisely 3 weeks before Cassidy's wedding. That night, while the house was asleep, I quietly took down the Cove, the oil painting James had gifted me after our honeymoon. I wrapped it in cloth, slid it into a hard case, and labeled it in small letters, Personal. Do not touch. The house was quiet, still beautiful, but it didn't belong to me anymore. Only I knew that. The envelope came in soft blue cardstock. Family dinner, it read. Simple, elegant. I knew better. Still, I arrived at 6 sharp hair-done lipstick on earrings James gave me our 35th anniversary. If they wanted a scene, they'd get a stage. The dining room was arranged like an intervention. Sterling sat at the head next to Madeline. Cassidy stood beside a tall man in a suit, their family attorney. At the far end, Dr. Keller clipboard in hand. Mom Sterling began, "We wanted to gather in love, as a family, to help you make some important decisions together." A folder slid across the table. I opened it. Inside, documents outlining a shared ownership transfer of my property and finances into a group-managed trust. My name was on every page. "This isn't a takeover," Madeline said. "It's protection." "You've had moments, confusion, lost details." Dr. Keller's concerned. Dr. Keller nodded. "My notes reflect mild cognitive decline. Early signs, possibly. We think it's best." Before she could finish, I stood up. "Vin." The door opened. My attorney entered, briefcase in hand. Sterling's face drained. Vin placed his own folder on the table. Dr. Keller is not a neurologist. She conducted no formal evaluations. Her observations have no legal merit. He pulled out a certified report from a licensed neuropsychologist, clean bill of cognitive health. Cassidy stepped forward. "We were just trying to help," Vin continued calmly. "Attempting to transfer financial control without proper documentation is fraud. Forging signatures, felony. Unauthorized mortgage contracts, criminal liability." I looked at Sterling. "Anything you want to add?" "Silence." I took a breath. "Bo." He stepped forward and plugged in a USB. The screen behind us lit up. An Excel spreadsheet appeared, Sterling's financials, all of them. His failing projects, over-leveraged properties, the loans tied to my home. Cassidy stared, horror blooming. "But that's Grandma's house." I turned to her. "Not anymore." My phone buzzed. I glanced at it. "Harper Quinn Buyers just added $50K to close early if you can vacate in 7 days." I smiled. Perfect timing. I turned back to the table. "I'll be gone by next week. I don't live in anyone's house, and from this day forward, no one lives in me." I stood, gathered my bag. No one spoke. Cassidy wiped her eyes, mascara smearing. Sterling leaned back, breath shallow. Madeline stared like she no longer recognized the woman in front of her. Only Beau moved. He stood, walked to the door, and opened it for me. I stepped out into the fading light. A sea breeze swept in clean and cold, and for the first time in years, I walked out of a room without looking back. The sky was pale when I arrived at Vin's office. Cool light filtered through his stained glass window. The table in front of me held a pen, a contract, and a warm cup of Darjeeling. Vin didn't say much. He knew this was not a day for small talk. Harper was already there, calm as ever, with a folder pressed to her chest. "Whenever you're ready," Verity Vin said. I looked at the contract. Each page held a memory, and each signature was another step away from the life I had poured into Cambria. But the decision had already been made long before ink met paper. I signed, page by page, stroke by stroke. When I was done, Vin slid a document forward confirmation that the full sum would be deposited into a private account under my name only, sealed, untouchable. It was the cleanest kind of goodbye money could ever buy. Harper handed me a thick envelope from the buyers. They wanted to be respectful and let you know their renovation plans. I opened it and saw the sketches: soft lavender walls, new steel roof, a meditation room where the porch used to be. The garden would be cleared for gravel and ornamental grasses. The house would become something entirely new. I ran my fingers over the lines. Good, I said. New life, new light. That afternoon, I returned to Cambria for the last time. The house was silent when I opened the door. It smelled like lemon oil and dust, as if it had already begun the process of forgetting me. I moved from room to room, gently removing the pieces of my life: the wedding portrait, Cassidy's photo in pigtails, Beau grinning at the beach, James leaning back on the porch with a book on his lap. I didn't rush. I needed time to say goodbye to each one. Upstairs in the back of an old cedar cabinet, I found the doll. The wool was a little frayed now. The face I had embroidered still smiled. I opened the seam with careful fingers, and there it was. The diamond, still hidden in the hollow of its cotton belly. I didn't cry. I slipped it into my coat pocket and zipped it shut. As I was heading down the steps, I heard the gravel crunch. Cassidy stood at the bottom of the stairs, arms limp at her sides, eyes red. "You really sold it." I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her. The wind tugged at her sweater. She stepped forward. "I don't want the money. I just wanted the house." I met her gaze. "You can't want something you never truly valued." Her lip trembled, but she didn't argue. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small velvet pouch. "I found this in the doll." I didn't take it. I swear. I figured you'd want it back. I looked at her, then smiled. "I don't need it now," I said softly. "It was never really about the diamond. It's about the hands that know how to hold it." She stood in silence, and for once didn't try to explain. I walked past her to the car. My boxes were stacked in the back seat. Books, old photographs, that same doll. The sun was low now, casting a soft amber over the cliffs. As I turned onto the highway, I didn't look back. But in my wallet, the diamond caught the light, not because it was rare, but because it had finally found its place. My new apartment was small. 2 bedrooms, open kitchen, clean white walls, the kind of space that didn't carry echoes of anyone else's voice but mine. From the balcony, I could see the San Gabriel Mountains. In the morning, the light poured in gold. In the evening, it burned orange like a quiet fire. I began to rebuild not just a life, but a rhythm. I painted again, still lifes mostly. I joined a morning yoga class. I volunteered once a week at the public library, shelving books in the historical archives. I slept better. One afternoon, Beau came by holding a flat-wrapped canvas. "My first exhibition," he said, "but this one's not for sale." He unwrapped the frame. It was me. Standing by the old wooden door at Cambria, backlit by the sunset. "Woman at the threshold," it read. I ran my fingers over the edge of the frame and kissed his cheek. A week later, a letter arrived in the mail. The handwriting on the envelope made my heart stop. Sterling. Inside was a single page. I'm sorry, you were right. We were blind. You deserved more than what we gave. I don't expect forgiveness. I just hope you're at peace. Sterling. I folded the letter carefully and placed it inside the back of James's scrapbook beneath the photo of our wedding day. I didn't reply. Then one evening, my phone buzzed. Cassidy. Hi, Grandma. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted to show you something. Attached was a screenshot, her UCLA enrollment confirmation, major art history. I stared at it for a long while, then typed back, "Come over this weekend." When she arrived, I handed her a small box. Inside was the diamond now set into a simple silver pendant. "For someone who finally learned how to see," I said. Her hands trembled. "Grandma." I cut her off. "Keep it. Not because it's a diamond, but because now you know how." She cried. Quiet tears this time. 1 year later, I hosted a dinner at my apartment. Nothing fancy, just roasted vegetables, some wine, a lemon tart. Beau brought flowers. Cassidy came early to help set the table. Carla brought a bottle of something French and laughed too loudly. I wore a new necklace that night, not to pass down, not to symbolize anything, just to wear. Just because it was mine. After everyone left, I stood out on the balcony. The lights below shimmered like stars that had come to rest at my feet. The city pulsed. The mountains loomed in the distance. I closed my eyes. I hadn't taken back the house. I hadn't taken back my family, but I had taken back myself.